Ladies, let me tell you something. If a man is on your mind every single day, if you wake up thinking about him, drive to work thinking about him, lay down at night thinking about him, I need you to sit down. Sit down and hear me clearly, because what you are feeling right now is not random. It is not one-sided. It is not you being crazy or obsessive or too deep. Sister, if he is living rent-free in your head every day, I promise you something is happening to him too. 5 things, actually. 5 real, specific, spiritual, and psychological things are unfolding inside that man right now, whether he wants to admit it or not. And by the end of this conversation, because that's what this is, a conversation between me and you, at the kitchen table, no cameras, no crowd, you are going to understand exactly what's happening to him. You're going to stop questioning yourself. You're going to stop wondering if you're imagining it. And you're going to carry yourself like a woman who finally knows. So pour yourself something warm. Turn your phone face down. Let me break this down for you the way somebody should have broken it down a long time ago. See, here's what nobody tells you about the human heart. 2 souls don't just accidentally lock in on each other. When you can't stop thinking about a man, and I mean really can't stop, not the shallow kind of thinking, but the deep in your chest, wake you up at 3 a.m. kind of thinking, that is not a malfunction. That is a signal. That is your spirit picking up a frequency his spirit is putting out. And baby, frequencies travel both ways. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Steve, if he was thinking about me, he'd call, he'd text, he'd show up. And I hear you. I hear the pain in that sentence. But listen to me carefully, because this is the part they don't teach you. A man being consumed by a woman does not always look like phone calls and flowers. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like distance. Sometimes it looks like him picking up his phone 12 times a day and putting it back down. Sometimes it looks like him being extra quiet, extra distracted, extra different. And everybody around him notices except him. Because a man does not process feelings the way you do. A woman feels it and speaks it. A man feels it and fights it. A man feels it and denies it. A man feels it and tries to outrun it until he can't anymore. So today I'm going to walk you through the 5 things that are actually happening to a man when a woman is on his mind every day. Not fantasy, not wishful thinking, not the fairy tale version. The real gritty sister-to-sister truth about what's going on inside him. And when I'm done, you're going to see him differently. You're going to see yourself differently. And you're going to make a decision that changes the rest of your love life. Let's begin. The first thing that's happening to him, and this is the one nobody talks about, is that his nervous system has started associating you with home. Now stay with me, baby, because this is deeper than it sounds. When a man thinks about a woman every day, it's not just his mind that's involved. It's his body, his nervous system, the part of him that decides where he can breathe, where he can exhale, where he can drop the armor. And when your face keeps showing up in his head over and over, uninvited, his body is doing something ancient. His body is filing you under safe. You have to understand something about men. Men walk around this world with their guard up every day. From the time they were little boys, somebody told them, don't cry, don't be soft, be a man. So they built a wall. And behind that wall is a little boy who just wants somewhere to rest. And when a woman comes along who makes that wall unnecessary, even for a moment, his whole system remembers her. That's why he keeps thinking about you. Because when he was around you or on the phone with you or reading your last message, his shoulders dropped 1/4 of an inch. his jaw unclenched, his breathing slowed down, and his body noticed. His body noticed even before his mind caught up. So now when he's sitting in traffic, you pop up. When he's in a meeting he doesn't want to be in, you pop up. When he's laying in bed staring at the ceiling, you pop up. And he can't figure out why. He tells himself, why am I thinking about her again? But his body already knows. His body is saying, that woman is where I get to be a whole person. That woman is where I get to put the sword down. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? You felt that in yourself too. That specific kind of exhale that only happens around certain people. Well, sister, it happens to him too. And when it does, he doesn't forget it. He can't forget it. Because the world is loud and the world is hard and the world does not let a man rest. But you did. Now here's where women get it twisted. Women hear this and they think, oh, so I need to be his peace. I need to be soft, quiet, easy, never say what bothers me, never rock the boat, be his little safe space. No, baby. No, no, no. That is not what I said. Being his peace does not mean being his doormat. Being his home does not mean being his hostage. A real home has walls. A real home has a door. A real home has rules about who gets to come inside. You are not supposed to shrink yourself into peace. You are supposed to be so rooted in who you are that a man feels the ground when he stands next to you. That's different. That's very different. Let me tell you about a woman I know. Let's call her Maya. Maya used to think being a man's peace meant being agreeable, meant swallowing her opinions, meant laughing at jokes that weren't funny, meant being the cool girl who never got upset, never asked for more, never made him uncomfortable. And you know what happened? He thought about her, sure, but he thought about her the way you think about a favorite sweatshirt. Comfortable, convenient, replaceable. Then Maya went through something. She got tired. She got quiet. She got still. She stopped performing. She started saying what she actually thought. She started leaving conversations that drained her. She started walking into rooms like she paid the rent on her own life. And within 3 months, that same man was calling her at midnight saying, I can't stop thinking about you. What did you do to me? She didn't do anything to him, sister. She did something for herself. And his nervous system felt the shift. Because a woman who is at peace with herself creates a completely different frequency than a woman who is performing peace. So the first thing that's happening to him when you're on his mind every day is this. His body has decided you are safety. His body has decided you are home. And the mind follows the body every single time. Now let's move to the second thing. And this one is going to sting a little. So put your seatbelt on. The second thing that's happening to him is that he is grieving a version of himself that only exists around you. Read that again, baby. He is grieving a version of himself that only exists around you. See, most women think a man misses her. That's cute. That's part of it. But that's not the deepest part. The deepest part is that a man doesn't just miss the woman. He misses who he gets to be when he's with her. And that is a completely different kind of longing. When a good woman shows up in a man's life, she doesn't just add herself to the equation. She unlocks parts of him he forgot existed. She makes him funnier. She makes him softer. She makes him more ambitious. She makes him want to fix things about himself he'd stopped caring about. She makes him remember dreams he buried in his 20s. She makes him call his mama more. She makes him pray again. She makes him drive slower. She makes him listen to different music. And then when there's distance, whether he caused it or she caused it or life caused it, he doesn't just lose her. He loses that guy, that better guy, that fuller guy, the version of him that stood a little taller, when your name was on his phone. And that grief, sister, that grief is heavy because he doesn't know how to name it. He doesn't have the language for it. He can't call his boys and say, man, I miss who I was when I was with her. His boys will look at him crazy. So he sits with it alone, in the truck, in the shower, at 2 a.m. staring at old texts he swore he deleted. And every time he thinks about you, that grief flares up. Because you're not just a memory, you're a mirror. You're the mirror where he saw the best version of himself, and he can't look in that mirror right now, and he doesn't know how to get back to it. Now, let me tell you why this matters for you. Because I want you to stop measuring a man's feelings by whether he calls you. Some men can't call, not because they don't feel it, but because they feel it too much and don't know what to do with it. A man who is grieving the version of himself he only got to be with you is not going to pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm grieving the version of myself I only got to be with you. He's going to go silent. He's going to disappear. He's going to overwork. He's going to date somebody who bores him. He's going to drink a little more. He's going to convince himself he's fine. But you are still there in the back of his head every single day. Now, here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to sit in your house waiting for him to figure his life out. I have watched too many good women waste too many good years waiting on a man to catch up to a truth she already knew. That is not your assignment. Your assignment is to keep growing. Your assignment is to keep glowing. Your assignment is to become such a full, whole, unshakable woman that when he does come back around and understand me clearly, they almost always do. You get to decide whether the door is still open. Because there is a difference, sister, between being missed and being chosen. A lot of women settle for being missed. Baby, missing you is the bare minimum. A man can miss you and still not do anything about it. A man can miss you and still let the years go by. A man can miss you and still marry somebody else, only to sit in his marriage 20 years from now, still wondering about you. You are not here to be somebody's what if. You are not here to be somebody's regret. You are here to be somebody's answered prayer. And if he can't answer that prayer, God has somebody else who will. So the second thing happening to him is grief. Quiet, hidden, unspoken grief for the man he only knew how to be when you were in the room. And that grief is not going to leave him alone. That grief is going to tap him on the shoulder every day until he does something about it, or until you become so unavailable to that version of things that it forces his hand. Now, the third thing, are you still with me? Take a breath, because this next one, this is the one that shifts everything. The third thing that's happening to him is that his imagination has started building a life with you in it without his permission. Now, I want you to hear this carefully, because women have been sold a lie that men don't imagine the future, that men live in the moment, that men don't think about weddings and babies and Sunday mornings. That's the lie. That is a beautiful, convenient movie script lie. The truth is, when a woman lodges herself in a man's mind, the way you have lodged in his imagination goes to work whether he tells it to or not. And that imagination doesn't stay in the present. That imagination time travels. He sees you as kitchen. He sees you at his mama's house. He sees you at the airport picking him up. He sees you next to him at a hospital he hasn't been to yet. He sees you laughing at a joke he hasn't told yet. He sees a little girl with your eyes. He sees a front porch with 2 rocking chairs. He sees birthdays. He sees Christmases. He sees a version of his life where he is not alone at 60 years old, wondering what happened to the years. And it terrifies him because most men are walking around this world with a plan that does not include being that vulnerable. Most men have organized their whole life around being self-sufficient, being untouchable, being in control. And then here comes you, and here comes this imagination. And suddenly he is picturing a life where he needs somebody, where he depends on somebody, where somebody has the power to hurt him. And that scares him more than losing you scares him. Read that again. Losing you scares him, but needing you scares him more. That's why so many men run right when things get good. That's why so many men create fights out of nothing. That's why so many men suddenly get busy the moment a woman shows him something real. It's not because they don't feel it. It's because they feel it too much and they haven't done the work to hold something that big. So while out here acting confusing, while he's out here going hot and cold, while he's out here saying one thing with his mouth and another thing with his behavior, understand this: his imagination is not confused. His imagination knows. His imagination has already picked out the ring, already picked out the neighborhood, already picked out the name of the dog. He just hasn't caught up to his imagination yet. Now let me tell you about another woman I know. Let's call her Rachel. Rachel dated a man for 2 years and he never, not once, said the word future. Every time she brought it up, he changed the subject. Every time she asked, "Where are we going?" he said, "Baby, why we gotta label everything?" Rachel came to me crying. She said, "Steve, I know he loves me, but he won't say anything about tomorrow. He won't say anything about next year. He acts like there's no future with me." And I told her what I'm about to tell you. Sister, a man's mouth is the last thing to catch up. His mouth is the slowest part of him. His hands know before his mouth. His schedule knows before his mouth. His eyes know before his mouth. And his imagination? His imagination knew a year ago. Rachel did something brave. Rachel stopped asking. Rachel started living. Rachel started planning her future with or without him. She booked a trip by herself. She started saving for a house by herself. She stopped putting her life on layaway, waiting for him to speak. And you know what happened? 6 weeks later, that man came home and said, "I've been thinking. I don't want to lose you. I want to build something real." Because his imagination had been ahead of him the whole time. She just stopped pausing her life long enough for his mouth to finally arrive. Now I need you to write this on your heart. A man's silence about the future does not mean he isn't imagining one with you. It usually means he's terrified of one with you, and your job is not to convince him. Your job is not to sell him. Your job is not to sit in front of him with a PowerPoint presentation on why your wife material. Your job is to be so rooted in your own future that his imaginations has to run to catch up with you. Because a woman who is going somewhere with or without him pulls a man out of his fog faster than anything on this earth. So the third thing happening to him is this: his imagination is writing chapters he hasn't agreed to yet. And every day you're on his mind, another chapter gets written. And the more chapters get written, the harder it becomes for him to ignore the book. Now let's go to the fourth thing. And this one, baby, this one is where the psychology gets spicy. The fourth thing happening to him is that his sense of time has been altered by you. I know, that sounds like a poem, but stay with me because this is real. Before you, that man had a normal relationship with time. Days passed, weeks passed. He measured his life in work weeks, in football seasons, in paychecks. But once you took up residence in his mind, everything changed. Now time moves funny for him. A day without hearing your voice feels like a week. A week feels like a month. A month feels like a year. And a year without you feels like an entire chapter of his life he can't get back. Meanwhile, on the flip side, when he is with you or on the phone with you or texting you, time collapses. 3 hours feel like 20 minutes. A whole night vanishes. He looks up and the sun is coming up and he's like, where did the time go? Now, why is this happening? Why does time bend around you? Because the brain measures time by meaning. Empty time drags. Meaningful time flies. And when a woman becomes meaningful to a man, really meaningful, soul level meaningful, every moment that doesn't include her starts to feel like wasted time. Every moment that does include her feels like the only real time he's living. And you know what that does to a man? It makes him restless. It makes him agitated. It makes him question his whole schedule. He starts looking at his calendar different. He starts looking at how he spends his weekends different. He starts noticing all the hours he's giving to things and people that don't matter, and he starts resenting them because those hours could have been spent with you. That's why a man who's thinking about you every day suddenly starts wanting to see you more, suddenly starts clearing his schedule, suddenly starts saying, come with me on this trip, suddenly starts making time he swore he didn't have because his internal clock has been rewired. And on his new clock, time without you doesn't count. Now, be careful here, sister, because I know what happens next in a woman's mind. A woman starts thinking, well, if that's true, why isn't he acting on it? Why isn't he showing up more? And here's my answer. Some men are courageous with time. Some men are cowardly with time. A courageous man says, I only have one life and I want to spend it with her, so let me build my life around her. A cowardly man says, I only have one life and I'm scared to lose control of it, so let me hold her at arm's length and see what happens. Both of those men are thinking about you every day, but only one of them is worth waiting on. And you have to learn the difference. You have to stop giving cowardly men the credit that belongs to courageous men. Because if a man is thinking about you every single day and still not restructuring his time around you, sister, that's information. That is not a mystery. That is not a we'll see. That is information. And your job is to receive information without excuses. I'm not saying leave him. I'm not saying give up on him. I'm saying stop pretending you don't see what you see. A man's calendar is his confession. A man's calendar tells you everything his mouth won't. If you are on his mind every day, but never on his schedule, you have to ask yourself, what is he protecting more than he's protecting you? Because a man will always make time for what he doesn't want to lose. Always. Since the beginning of time. There has never been a man too busy for a woman he was scared to lose. There has never been a man too tired for a woman he was scared to lose. There has never been a man too broke for a woman he was scared to lose. Ever. So when a man is thinking about you every day, his sense of time is bending. But whether he acts on that bending is up to him. And whether you wait around while he decides, that's up to you. Let me tell you about Tasha. Tasha was in what she called a situationship for 18 months. She said, Steve, he thinks about me all the time. He tells me all the time. He says, I'm always on his mind. I said, baby, that's beautiful. But when's the last time he cleared a Saturday for you? When's the last time he took you to meet somebody who matters to him? When's the last time he made a plan more than 72 hours in advance? She got quiet, real quiet, because see, being on his mind and being on his calendar are two different addresses. And too many women are settling for living in his mind when they were built to live in his life. Tasha went home that night and did something brave. She stopped being available on standby. She stopped answering the 11 p.m. "You up?" text. She stopped rearranging her weekends for his last-minute maybes. And within a month, that man went from "I'm thinking about you" to "I need to see you." Because when the time she was giving him became scarce, the time she'd been giving him suddenly became valuable. And valuable time, that's the only time a man protects. So the fourth thing happening to him is that his sense of time is warping around you. Time without you feels heavy. Time with you feels holy. And every day that goes by where you're on his mind, that warping gets stronger. It builds up, it compounds until one day something has to give. And now we come to the fifth thing, the biggest one, the one that changes everything if you can really understand it. Sit up straight for this, baby, because this is the truth that most women live their whole lives without ever being told. The fifth thing that's happening to him is that his ego is losing a war with his soul. Let me say that again because I want it to land. His ego is losing a war with his soul. Every man walks around this earth with two voices inside him. One is the ego. The ego is loud. The ego is scared. The ego is proud. The ego is the part of him that says, don't get too attached. Don't let her know how much you feel. Play it cool. Keep your options open. Don't be that guy. Don't get whipped. Don't get soft. Don't need anybody. The other voice is the soul. The soul is quiet. The soul is honest. The soul is the part of him that knows without a doubt when it has met somebody real. The soul doesn't argue. The soul doesn't negotiate. The soul just says, that one, that's her. Don't lose her. And when a woman is on a man's mind every day, sister, understand what's really happening. His soul has already spoken. His soul made the decision a long time ago. His soul knows exactly who you are and exactly what you mean. The soul is done. The soul is settled. But his ego is throwing a fit. His ego is doing everything in its power to overrule the soul. His ego is saying, but what if there's somebody better? What if I'm giving up too soon? What if she's too much for me? What if I can't handle her? What if she leaves me? What if? His ego is throwing every trick in the book at him. Distraction, comparison, ex-girlfriends, new women, work, money, ambition. Anything to drown out that soul voice that keeps whispering your name. And every day you stay on his mind, the soul gets louder. And every day the soul gets louder, the ego gets more desperate. That is the war going on inside that man right now. And you are the prize on the other side of it. Now, here is the part most women miss. You cannot fight his ego for him. You cannot argue his ego down for him. You cannot text his ego, call his ego, seduce his ego, or convince his ego. That is his internal war. That is his internal battle. And any woman who tries to fight it for him will only make his ego stronger. Because you know what makes a man's ego dig its heels in? A woman chasing him. A woman explaining herself to him. A woman proving herself to him. A woman shrinking herself for him. You want his soul to win? You want his soul to finally overrule his ego? Then do the one thing his ego cannot survive. Become unavailable to the version of things his ego is comfortable with. Read that slow, sister. Become unavailable to the version of things his ego is comfortable with. If his ego is comfortable with you always being available, become less available. Not as a game, not as a manipulation, but because your life is full and your time is holy. If his ego is comfortable with you begging for clarity, stop begging. Not out of spite, but because you refuse to negotiate for what should be freely given. If his ego is comfortable with you accepting crumbs, stop accepting crumbs. Not because you're bitter, but because you know you were built for a whole loaf. When you shift like that, sister, his ego panics. And when his ego panics, his soul gets its opening. His soul finally gets to speak louder than his fear. And that is when a man makes his move. That is when a man becomes the man he was always capable of being. That is when a man finally shows up like a man. Let me tell you about Denise. Denise loved a man for 4 years. 4 years of his ego running the show. 4 years of I'm not ready. 4 years of you're the one, but the timing. 4 years of maybes and one days and someday soons. And Denise did everything a woman is told to do. She was patient. She was understanding. She was low maintenance. She was accommodating. And you know what all that patience got her? More waiting. Then Denise turned 34 and something in her broke, but it broke the right way. She woke up one morning and said, I refuse to spend another year of my one wild and precious life waiting on a man to become brave. She didn't yell at him. She didn't cuss him out. She didn't send a paragraph text. She just quietly, slowly, gracefully walked out of the orbit of his ego. She stopped being available for maybes. She started saying yes to her own life. She got busy in the best way. Busy with joy, busy with purpose, busy with peace. And do you know what happened 3 months later? That man showed up at her front door, ringing a box, tears in his eyes, and said, Denise, I have been the biggest fool. Please give me one more chance to be the man you deserve. Because his soul finally won the war. His ego finally lost. And it only happened when she stopped being the audience for his indecision. Now, I'm not telling you this story to make you think every man is going to show up at your door with a ring. Some won't. Some will lose the war. Some men's egos are just too loud and their souls just too buried. And if that happens to you, sister, hear me. That is not your loss. That is your protection. Because a man whose ego is stronger than his soul is a man who will make you small for the rest of your life. And you are not here to be small. You are not here to be small. You are not here to be small. You are here to be seen. You are here to be chosen. You are here to be cherished. You are here to be safe. You are here to be free. So let me bring this home for you now. Let me pull all 5 of these together so you carry it with you. When you are on a man's mind every single day, this is what is actually happening to him. His body has marked you as home. His nervous system knows what his mouth won't say. He is quietly grieving the better version of himself that only exists when you're around. His imagination is writing chapters of a shared future without asking his permission. His sense of time is bending. Days without you feel heavy. Moments with you feel holy. And his ego is losing a war with his soul. And the outcome of that war will determine whether he becomes the man you deserve or the man he'll regret being. That is what is happening to him. That is the truth, not fantasy, not delusion, not you being too hopeful, the truth. But hear me, baby, hear me clearly. because this is where a lot of women mess up. Knowing what is happening to him is not the same as waiting on him. Understanding him is not the same as sacrificing yourself for him. Seeing the war inside him is not the same as pausing your life while he fights it. You are not his rehabilitation center. You are not his therapist. You are not his mother. You are not his project. You are a woman, a grown, whole, breathing, feeling woman with your own full soul, your own timeline, your own war to win, your own destiny to walk into. And your destiny does not have a waiting room. So here is what I want you to do. Starting tonight, starting the moment this conversation ends, I want you to make a decision, not about him, about yourself. Decide that you are done shrinking to fit into his indecision. Decide that you are done explaining yourself to a man who has already been shown who you are. Decide that you are done accepting inconsistencies and calling it love. Decide that you are done reading between the lines when the truth is written in the margins in big, bold letters. Decide that you are done being the second half of his sentence when you were meant to be the whole book. You are not too much. You have never been too much. You will never be too much. If a man cannot hold you, that does not mean you are heavy. That means he has weak arms. And weak arms are not your problem to solve. You are not too deep. You are not too emotional. You are not too intense. You are not too sensitive. You are not too demanding. You are not too complicated. You are a woman with a soul, and a soul like yours was never meant to apologize for its own weight. Stop chasing. Stop begging. Stop shrinking. Stop explaining. Stop convincing. Stop performing. Stop rearranging yourself so a man who has already seen you clearly can pretend he hasn't. If he is thinking about you every day, sister, that is his information. That is his revelation. That is his responsibility. Your only responsibility is to become the fullest, freest, most rooted, most radiant version of yourself. And to let that version of you decide who gets to stand next to her. Because here is the real secret, the real sacred, sister to sister secret. When you stop performing for love and start embodying it, when you stop asking to be chosen and start choosing yourself, when you stop waiting for him to catch up and start walking in the direction of your own life, something in the atmosphere shifts. Something in the spiritual air changes. And the right man, the one whose soul is stronger than his ego, the one who is ready, the one who can actually hold you, that man feels it. That man senses it. That man finds his way to you. He might be the same man who is thinking about you today. He might be a man you haven't met yet. That's not for you to figure out. That's for God to arrange. Your job is not to figure out the how. Your job is to become the woman the how is looking for. And baby, listen to me. That woman is already inside you. She has always been inside you. She has been waiting under all the layers of maybe I'm asking for too much and maybe I should just settle. And maybe this is as good as it gets. She has been waiting for you to stop apologizing for her. She has been waiting for you to walk into a room and let her walk in first. Let her out. Tonight, let her out. Let her stop answering the late night texts that lead nowhere. Let her stop rearranging her life around a man who won't rearrange his own. Let her wear the outfit she's been saving. Let her go to dinner alone and enjoy it. Let her take the trip. Let her sign up for the class. Let her say the honest thing. Let her walk away from what's draining her. Let her take up space. Let her rest. Let her laugh loud. Let her be soft when she wants to be soft and still when she needs to be still. Because a woman like that, she is not on a man's mind every day by accident. She is on his mind every day because his soul knows. And his soul will not stop knowing, no matter what his ego says, no matter how much he tries to distract himself, no matter how many other women he tries to fill the space with. His soul knows. And the men whose souls are ready will find their way home to you. And the men whose souls are not ready, sister, that is not your funeral to attend. You are not asking for too much. You are not asking for too much. You are not asking for too much. You are asking for a man who matches the woman you have already become. You're asking for a love that does not require you to squint to see it. You're asking for a peace that does not come with a but. You're asking for a home, not a hallway. You are asking for a partner, not a project. You are asking for a covenant, not a convenience. And that, baby, is the most reasonable prayer a woman has ever prayed. So the next time you find yourself thinking about him, the next time your mind drifts to him in the middle of your day, the next time you wonder if he's thinking about you too, I want you to remember this conversation. I want you to remember the 5 things happening inside that man. I want you to remember that his silence does not mean absence. I want you to remember that his distance does not mean disinterest. I want you to remember that his ego is loud, but his soul is louder, and time is on the side of whichever one you refuse to keep feeding. But most of all, and this is the last thing I need you to carry, I want you to remember that you were not put on this earth to be somebody's everyday thought. You were put on this earth to be somebody's everyday choice. There is a difference. There is a world of difference. Being somebody's thought is a compliment. Being somebody's choice is a covenant. Being somebody's thought is a whisper. Being somebody's choice is a vow. You are here for the vow. You have always been here for the vow. And any man who can only offer you the whisper, that man is not the end of your story. That man is a chapter. A chapter is not a book. A chapter is not a life. A chapter is not a legacy. Turn the page when you need to. Close the book when you need to. Start a new one when you need to, because the pen has always been in your hand. Always. You just forgot for a little while. You remember now, don't you? I can feel you remembering. So carry yourself from this day forward like a woman who knows her worth, knows her weight, knows her wisdom, knows her way. Walk into every room, every conversation, every relationship like a woman who has already been chosen by herself first before anyone else. Because a woman who has chosen herself first is a woman who cannot be broken by not being chosen by somebody else. And a woman who cannot be broken is a woman the right man will move heaven and earth to be worthy of. That is who you are, sister. That is who you have always been. Underneath the tired, underneath the tears, underneath the second guessing, underneath every voice that told you love had to hurt to be real. That is who you are. So let him think about you every day. Let him. That's his side of the story. You go live yours. Go be so rooted, so radiant, so ridiculously full of your own life that if he ever does find his way to your door, he doesn't find a woman waiting. He finds a woman living. And that woman right there is the only kind of woman a real man ever truly comes home to. If this hit your spirit today, if you felt me talking directly to your heart, if you needed to hear this more than you knew, do me one favor. Drop a heart in the comments. Not for me, for the next sister who is going to scroll past this video with tears in her eyes, wondering if anybody sees her. Let her know somebody does. Let her know she's not alone. Let her know the truth found her too. Because sometimes the best thing we can do for our sisters is simply say, here, This one is for you. Take it, carry it, let it change your life. And to you, the woman on the other side of this screen, the one who's been carrying too much for too long, the one who's been questioning herself, the one who's been wondering if she's the crazy one. You are not crazy. You are not too much. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are seen. You are chosen. You are loved. You are on your way. Now go carry yourself like a woman who knows.